Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host and your friend, Rashid. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Professor Helmer. I'm trying not to say sir. I'm trying not to call him. And he's laughing behind the scenes, so I have to bring him on real quick. Let's see. I'm trying a new. Uh, Hold on, everybody. I'm trying a new maximize. Let's see. Okay, you should be on the screen. All right. So here we are. How's it going today, Professor?
Thank you very much, Rashid. Well, as I explained to you off air, yes, I earned the rank of professor, but I never use it unless I'm in court facing people who insist on their rank, or unless I'm at the doctor's and being presented with an invoice. At that point, yep, I use that rank. But on your podcast on doing journalism, there are a lot of folks walking around who haven't earned the title professor. One of them's rather well known in China. Uh, I don't think it's an appropriate title. It doesn't earn credibility. It's what the facts tell you, what our audience can do to assemble what we're trying to interpret here. And for that purpose, Professor ex-CIA analyst, former White House staff member, uh, colonel, major, retired, none of that stuff is worth reciting. But let's get to the facts, let's get to the evidence, and let's get to your questions, Rashid. Glad to help.
So what is going on now? We see. Well, first let's go to Russia because there's a lot going on in Russia. Russia just issued military issued a directive to the Ukrainians, and what and the Ukrainians started firing drones around Russia. They haven't hit Moscow, but they have been hitting different areas. Where is this taking us?
Well, I think it's best not to exaggerate. It's best not to misrepresent. Um, the, the fact of the matter is that uh, the Ukraine war is at a stage that's comfortable for the Zelensky regime, uh, bearing in mind that that regime will sacrifice an unlimited number of Ukrainian people in the pursuit and the continuation in permanent war against Russia. Permanent war against Russia, sacrificing all of the Iranian people, so to speak, is also the policy of remilitarizing Germany, rearming, but on May 9, tomorrow, your time, would be a demonstration of their ability to continue the war. The security measures to prevent such an attack are extremely tight, and to reduce the amount of target available, as well as to achieve other things, fight.
Um, Thank you, M Sparks, for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, along the lines of what we're talking about, haven't the Russian leadership backed themselves into this position because of the many times of letting the West escalate without a major response back? Because whenever the West hits you, they never call it an escalation. Whether it's Iran, whether it's Somalia, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Palestine, whether it's Venezuela or Cuba, whatever. But when there's a response, they call that escalation. They frame your response as an act of escalation, as if you're supposed to allow them to rape, pillage, and murder you without any legal right or freedom to defend your life. So, hasn't the leadership of Russia allowing NATO and the United States to infringe upon an ex-Soviet state after ex-Soviet state to ignore?
Uh, the way you the question answers it. But we are best to answer it from my side. if we talk about domestic Russian politics. And you spoke of Russian leadership. What's that? On the one hand, we have the intelligence services. I'm reluctant to use hawks and doves. It's a complete waste of labels and time. Let's just say the line of maximum effective deterrence against permanent war against Russia is expressed by Medvedev and almost certainly held as a consensus in the Security Council.
Going down the drain, and anything that hitches its back to that economy will be going down the drain with it. He's so much in love with the Western world and has been brainwashed so much by the Western world that he's willing to take his people down the rabbit hole of collapse?
Well, that's a question for him. All I can reply is that he speaks for himself with a daily tweet or two or three or half a dozen. First. Second, there's nothing exceptional about Kirill Dmitriev. We had Russia.
Citizens are Russian, of Russian origin. And we see that that Israel has a large hold or stranglehold on a lot of American foreign policy. So knowing that, and we see how America continues to go after Russia. They went through Syria, they went in Iraq, they went to Libya, they've overthrown. They're trying to put pressure on Cuba. They've overthrown the leadership in Venezuela, and now they're after Iran, and they're squeezing into the former Soviet republics in Central Asia. Why is Russia ignoring the hand that,
so to speak, that Israel is a hostile state? Doesn't that say the Russian speaker or a citizen is true? We're bound to see the behavior of China as well as Russia, factionally and then collectively, and as allies, Russia and China, in a discrete way. Each day for the last 4 days since Arakchi left Beijing, the foreign ministry, Wang Yi, who's more important than the signal is words. The force is legal in its war. That's the problem. Is he willing to meet and negotiate with Trump while Trump's at war in a way that China said we won't countenance? Let's wait and see, shall we, Rashid?
Yes, sir, and we'll do this again very soon. I thank you for joining me today again, and thank you for accommodating me. It's getting a little bit bad out here, but thank you so much for accommodating me because you understood what was going on in the background. I really appreciate it, John.
Thank you for having me, Rashid. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, be safe. Everybody, and I'll send you the video in a second. Everybody, thank you all for joining us on another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. As I often say before I go off the air, I say, do right by others, not because there's some material gain to be had or because of some accolades to be had. Do right by others because it's the right, the humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, remember that God Almighty is watching you. As my late, great, and beautiful mother would always say, God sits high on the throne of power, but he looks low at the actions of man. Know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth. But know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that the God of freedom, justice, and equality has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true. But above all things, remember to stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy still loves you more than life. Thank you for everything, Mom. We're out of here.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a but I've lost